Wall Street did rebound somewhat. This is relatively good news, but how much has Wall Street wiped off in the last 2 weeks alone?
Yeah, well, 6% overnight, extraordinary. This week, Laura, the market Wall Street has come back 17%. Now, and this has really put me into a lot of trouble with my wife. She wanted to buy last Friday. She proofreads all my stuff, and she said, "You say it's a buying opportunity. Let's go." I said, "No, this is too early." So I'm really in a lot of trouble here. But gee, it's a great sign that the rebound has come along like this. I'm still a little bit worried that there'll be another leg down, and that's going to be linked to the flattening of the curve, when that's going to happen with infections and death rates. But at this point in time, the belief is that the magnitude of the stimulus coming out of the US in particular is going to offset these unbelievably bad numbers. I think you might refer to 3.3 million jobless claims in America in 1 week. Extraordinary. But someone like Paul Tudor Jones, he's like a Warren Buffett type legendary investor. He's called this is bigger than a bazooka, this stimulus package. He's saying it's basically a nuclear bomb. And that's the way the market's responded to it. And just before I let you get in and ask a question, you know what the Germans put together as a stimulus package this week? A lot of people missed it. Their package is 30% of GDP.
Wow.
Now, we're 10%. Germans, when they do something, they do it big time, 30%.
They certainly do. Ours is at 10% of GDP. There's a third support package being considered at the moment that will be discussed probably today at National Cabinet, but in the Cabinet more generally as well. I'm not sure when we will see that. Interesting today to see the government talk about giving rental relief to businesses and retailers. I mean, there's no shutdown of retailers, but I went to Westfield yesterday and half the shops are shut anyway. Interesting that Solomon Lew is refusing to pay rent during the shutdown. And this is really being seen as a tipping point for retail. Why?
Well, the tipping point is that tenants have never had this kind of, gutsy fight back against landlords. And this isn't what economists call an exogenous shock. That's why the stock market fell so rapidly, and it may well be why the stock market rebounds really quickly. If the virus statistics start looking better over the next 2 to 3 weeks. But in terms of retail, retailers have been screwed for a long time. Shopping centres are not as productive as they used to be. The online world and Amazons and whatever, and even JB Hi-Fi and Harvey Norman, they have a pretty effective online business as well. So retail rents have been needing to come down for some time, and this is going to be, I think, a significant turning point in retail history. How
many people do you think have lost their jobs in Australia in the last week?
It's a good question, and I'm purely guessing, but we must be getting close to. We tend to gain about 36,000 a month. Look, I think 1 million people. It wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. There's 3.3 in America. We're a lot smaller, but so many people have. Look, gee, you asked me a tough question.
Sorry, Peter. No, that's fine.
Okay.
It is about 1 million. I think the estimate, you're in line with the estimates that we have seen. We need to rely on government at a time like this. There's no doubt about it. People simply just don't have the savings to tie them over. But are there things that you would suggest that we can do as individuals to support each other? I don't know, eating out more, getting this takeaway. You can't dine in, of course, but should we be doing what we can, if you still have a job and you still have income, in supporting some of these businesses that are trying to adapt?
Yeah. Now, I've got to say, you're absolutely right. The other night, we made something at home. I felt so guilty. I really should have gone out to a suburban cafe and bought something to take away. Look, I think that the bottom line is we shouldn't be raiding supermarkets and overbuying. I do believe that we will be back to work within 3 to 4 weeks, worst case scenario. I think these 6-month calls are sensible when it comes to how long the medical emergency might be around. But I think the shutdown of the economy is going to be very good for reducing or flattening the curve, as they say. Now, a guy called Chris Joy, who you might have seen right in the Fin Review, Chris has all his research team from his Coolabah Capital investment team actually looking at the infection rates, looking for the flattening of the curves. And he thinks there's a good chance that within 3 or 4 weeks we'll be seeing it in the major countries of the world. And that's going to be very good. In the interim period, I just think we should just do our best to try and keep people in work if you can. And on the flip side, try and support your local areas. I'll tell you one area that's really struggling is CBDs. I saw in our local area, lots of the cafes are doing well, but in the CBD of Sydney, that's like a ghost town. So they're really struggling.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Look after each other. Look after yourself, Pete. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.